Hey guys, today's story is about a Westmarch server. So, this is my first time posting here, and just so you know, English is my first language, so if there's any errors, I'm just dumb. Also, I'm not exactly sure if I'm in the wrong here or not, so please let me know. Thank you. Our cast of characters is only 3 people big. Myself, duh. The DM, who was the quest giver, and then the owner, who was the owner of the server, as it was a Westmarches and Living World type of server. But to start off with, a little bit of background on the world, as it's important, I promise. The world consisted of 5 major factions vying for alliances and control, and my PC was the leader of one of them. The one which dealt with money and trade routes. I wrote her as being very nice and open to chat, as long as you respected her. I spent quite a bit of time on this character, and got really excited to play, and the starting level for faction leaders was level 7. Also, magic was nearly dead in this world. It was so rare that you had to roll a d20 before creation to see if you could even be able to cast at all. I flubbed this roll, but didn't care because I was going to make a swashbuckler rogue anyway. But with this all out of the way, let's get on to the actual story. One of the owner's NPCs was interested in having a conversation with my PC. This was fine, except for the fact that he entered her castle forcibly, and by injuring multiple guards. My PC requested a 100 GP fine for medical expenses, which was paid without a struggle. So this was fine still. And from then on, we were even. My PC treated the owner's NPC with the utmost respect, and was getting ready to hear his request for an alliance. Then enter DM's quest giver. I didn't explicitly consent out of character for him to enter the scene, but the owner did. So, whatever. He entered in a similar manner, so I also hit him with the 100 GP fine, and the quest giver started smoking. And I had already shown that my PC had an aversion to alcohol, drugs, and similar substances in our presence in the earlier part of the scene. The DM knew this, so he purposely started this to get my character angry. My PC asked the quest giver twice to put it away and pay their fine. They refused, brushing it off again, so I decided to add another 50 gold to the fine for every minute that they remained as they were trespassing. They brushed this off as well, and asked my character and the owner's NPC to explore a new plane with him. And do note that my character barely knew of other planes existing at all due to the lack of magic on the world. This was also a red flag, because the other planes were typically the subject of higher level adventures, as opposed to being around level 7. The owner and I both told him to get lost, and he said something to the effect of, "Great! We'll get started shortly." We both tell him that we, in fact, did not say that we wanted to explore other planes, and the NPC just leaves, ignoring the fine that was now over 500 GP due to all the time that he wasted smoking and pretending like he didn't hear us. I think that fine is the least of the issues here. Normally in this type of scenario, I would have my guards imprison him until he paid his fine, but my guards were out of commission, so my PC decided to take things into her own hands. She drew her rapier and informed him that if he didn't give it up willingly, she would force it out of him. He refused yet again, and I won initiative, so I got a sneak attack on him for about 30 damage, to which I was then informed that I have to make a charisma save, which, by some miracle, I got a 22. And then, on my next turn, I dropped another 35 damage on him, and he didn't go down. Now, this was a bit worrying, because let me do some math for you. We used average HP. A 7th level spellcaster, this guy was definitely a spellcaster, can have a maximum possible HP of 6 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 7 times 5, or 65. Do you see the problem? I had just dealt 65 damage to him, and he didn't even seem fazed. My crazy luck didn't last forever, and I rolled a 7 on my next charisma save. And I was informed that I had been shifted through the planes, and I was like, okay, I got banished. Whatever. The owner's PC was now pissed off that the person that he was trying to talk to just got yeeted and jumped into initiative, whacking the DM for a chunk of damage. The DM now should be making a save for concentration, but said that he didn't need to, because it wasn't banishment, it was plane shift. Plane shift is a 7th level spell for everyone in 5e, and there is exactly one level where someone can plane shift twice without needing to rest. Level 20. So now we had a level 20 equivalent spellcaster on our hands. I was unbelievably pissed that I just got one-tapped, and now I know I might not be getting out. The quest giver then dropped a spell on the owner's PC that tried to counterspell, and he was informed that the counterspell didn't work, to which the owner's NPC went and dropped a legendary action on him. So now the whole precedent is ruined, not just for my character, but for the entire server. What good is my character's power if she can't enforce it? And what good is the lack of magic if there's some level 20 equivalent spellcaster running around? So it's not surprising that the owner's NPC didn't stand a chance against this guy. So I decided to go into the owner's DMs and try to get him to boot the DM. And this is where I wasn't sure if I was being an ass or not. I basically explained my situation and why the DM was, well, a terrible DM. The owner refused, and when I asked why, he responded with, "He is my only DM." I offered to DM in his place, but was turned down. At this point, I had had it. I was starting to get really tired and upset, so I basically said that I was going to sleep, and if the DM wasn't gone in the morning, I would be leaving the server. I went to sleep, and the DM was still there in the morning, so I left. I'm still a bit upset because I really liked my character, and the owner's NPC, and just my interaction with him, and I'm not sure if I could have handled that better. I would also like to apologize if this is a bit too long. I just wanted to rant. But thanks for reading, and may your dice be blessed. So, what the fresh hell was the owner doing? Did he vet the guy at all? Was he a longtime friend? I can only imagine that the entire server just slowly left with the DM and the owner eventually asking each other, "Where did our players go?" Both the DM and the owner suck here. Both of them are at fault, but the owner is the worst one off here, because even when confronted with the ham-fisted nature of the DM, the owner was still oblivious. I question whether the owner and the DM ever actually talked on what the owner wanted for the story or the world, such as the fact that magic really wasn't a thing, or if they did actually communicate and the DM just decided that he didn't give a hoot, and decided that he wanted his own little adventure, which would be fine, but if that's the case, then why would you go DM for a Westmarch server, rather than just doing your own standard campaign? It makes very little sense to me. But as for you, OP, I wouldn't say that you really stepped out of line here. You left when you got a whiff of something bad. But I will say that expecting the owner to kick the DM when you were the only player that we know of that at this point was asking for his removal, that might have been a bit hopeful. But in any case, that's the end of this one. Let me know what you guys think, and as always, have a good one.